Hello and Aquaba to Ghana Toastmasters. We are on a mission to build a legendary leadership development hub in the world and also build or raise members who not only communicate to influence but lead to solve the problems from the past in the present and also live to anticipate the ineluctable challenges of the future. There are over 20 clubs presently in Ghana, and each club actually has a mission of providing a supportive and positive learning experience where members have the opportunity to be empowered to develop the communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I am thrilled today, especially for what is going to happen here, because we have anchoring today's meeting a member who wears many hats. She's the incumbent Area 3 Director. She is the mentor for PMI Toastmasters, and again, a mentor for several proteges across these clubs in the Ghana Toastmasters region. She is a wife, a mother of 3, and a CEO. Indeed, she wears many hats. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster for today, TM Susie Aku.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, for this meeting today we have what we call prepared speakers, role players, and unprepared speakers. I'll be moderating this meeting and supported by a team led by the General Evaluator. Our General Evaluator for today is a Toastmaster that wears many hats. She believes every individual has a potential to make this world a better place for us. A reason why she joined Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, please help me welcome our General Evaluator for today, Toastmaster Helena Sechonia.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, my role as the General Evaluator for today's meeting will be to observe and listen actively to how the entire meeting would go. I will be doing this by taking note of how role players perform their roles, the delivery, their organization, and their preparedness in the discharge of their duties. I won't be doing this alone. I would be performing with role players who I'll be calling on stage very soon to introduce what they will do. I will first call our accountant. She is a Toastmaster at heart, a banker, and she is Toastmaster Sarah.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. My role as our counter today is to report on overused words or filler words that speakers may use during the meeting. These words may be inappropriate interjections such as you know, and these sometimes take away the beauty in our speeches. And as Toastmaster, our aim is to make sure that we are effective communicators. And at the end of today's meeting, I'll come and report as to how we use those words and how we can use pauses to enhance our speeches. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Accountant. Next on my list will be the timer. He is somebody I've personally come to love and admire in the community because he knows what time means and he sticks to it. He is a member of Jolate Toastmasters Club and he's been an inspiration to many in the community and will continue to be. Help me welcome Toastmaster Tony Safo.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Time management is a crucial skill for communicators and leaders, which is why every Toastmasters meeting has every part of the time, affording us the opportunity to acquire time management skills by doing. My role as timer for today's meeting is to guide role players on the use of time using colored indicators, actually reporting time used, and giving specific constructive feedback for improvement. At every Toastmasters meeting, every role is timed and has a lower limit and an upper limit. At the lower time limit, I'll indicate the green card. At the midpoint of the lower limit and the upper limit, I'll indicate the yellow card. And at the upper limit, I'll indicate the red card. During the report session, the general evaluator will invite me to come and give a report on how we fared. Right. Until then, I hand over back to the general.
Thank you very much, Timer. I will next call on our grammarian, who is also another seasoned Toastmaster. He is a Scrum Master and an area director in the community. Help me welcome Toastmaster Jeremy Payne.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. My role today is the grammarian, and as grammarian, it is my function to take note of the use of grammar in English in the course of the meeting. To be a grammarian, you do not need to be an expert or an English scholar. You simply need to critically listen to the speeches that are delivered during the course of the meeting. You also need to provide feedback on the ways that English was used right and make suggestions for improvement. As part of my role as grammarian, I produce the word of the day. Now, this is not an overly complex word or a word that is far removed from our everyday speech. It's simply a vocabulary that we can imbibe in our everyday speech to make it richer. The word of the day is diction. Simply means your choice of words or your style of speaking or writing. Used as an example, everyone who spoke after the general evaluator tried to copy a poetic diction. I encourage everyone to use the word of the day, and we acknowledge those who use the word of the day rightly by snapping our fingers. At the end of the meeting, I will come back to give a report on how well we fared in terms of our use of grammar and the English language. Thank you, Madam General.
Thank you very much, grammarian, and my team for explaining your rules to us. I would now like to hand over to our Toastmaster of the day. When I'm called back together with my team, we'll give a report on how we fared with today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator and your team. Fellow Toastmasters, we are at a very important session of our meeting today, where I'll request that we all pay attention, observe, and listen to our speakers. We will start with our prepared speakers, and I'd like to introduce our first speaker for today. He's a storyteller. That is how he describes himself, and a multiplier leader. His specialties are new business development, sales management, and talent development. Our speaker for today is on the motivational strategies patch, and his project objective is practice storytelling. So today he will tell us a story. Someone yell fosu, pamwine right, pamwine right, someone yell fosu.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Riding on a commercial bus could be overly dramatic. The kind of drama you can't use IQ to navigate. Have you had your fair share of it? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. One hot afternoon, I was riding home on a full bus, sitting next to the driver, when a stout man made a grand entrance into the bus. He immediately announced his presence with a strong odor of alcohol. Friends, the scent on him alone could intoxicate everyone in the bus. Beside the young lady was an empty seat. He therefore told her to shift, so he sits beside her. Instead, she left her seat to move and sit on a different row. To her, this man needed a full seat, and so did his order. Ah! Young lady, why would you treat me with such disdain? Are you on some cheap hard drugs? The man was very furious. He hurled several insults at her. Some people in the bus tried to get him to calm down. However, they were not spared either. He called on deities like Noboko, Antwa, Kwapufri to incur curses on them. Eventually, everyone in the bus became target of his insults. An old woman who was puzzled by the drama in the bus asked, "Don't we have any man in this bus? Can't anyone shut the devil out of him? Or are you all cowards?" Suddenly, all eyes in the bus turned to my direction. I heard their eyes saying, "Joe, can you put your physique to better use? Can you shut the devil out of him? Or it's just a mere Banku body? Banku body? Jeremy, Banku body?" Friends, at that moment, I needed to defend my ego. I needed to shut the devil out of that weirdo. Plus, I felt called upon to deliver my people from the hands of Pharaoh. With reddened eyes, grinding teeth, and my face clenched, I stood up from my seat to head towards the direction of the ground. But before I could take him on, I heard an ear-splitting, joyous shout. "Water! Water!" The ground turned to the direction of the person who shouted. It was an old man who could be in his late 60s, wearing a brown kaftan. His tone and diction sounded like someone who had found a long-lost friend. The drunk walked to him with a belligerent, "Why should I sit beside you, old man?" "What have you been drinking, Kwata?" "I've been drinking palm wine, and how is that your business?" "Wonderful! Absolutely wonderful! You know what? We are in the same business because I love palm wine too. Guess what? My wife is my drinking partner. On every Saturday night, we feast on palm wine. Oh, how sweet it is!" Suddenly, the drunk's face began to soften. The old man went ahead to share his stories, his life stories, and his career stories with the drunk. And then he asked him, "I'm sure your wife is your drinking partner too, isn't she?" "That's the problem. She just left me for another man. And as you can see, I'm struggling to deal with it." Before long, I arrived at my location and had to alight. But when I got home, I started reflecting on the bitter, sweet palm wine ride. Though the drunk's earlier conduct was not palatable, clearly this was a man in pain. A man with unsteady emotions. A man with a broken heart. Yet, there I was, thinking of shutting the devil out of him. I saw a drunk who had gone broke. The old man saw a man who needed empathy. I saw a drunk who wasn't cultured. The old man saw a man who needed empathy. I saw the need to cast out the devil in him. The old man saw the need to use emotional intelligence. He distracted him, empathized with him, and drew him into alternative focus. This is emotional intelligence that all of us can emulate. So how do you resolve conflicts? Do you use brute force or you tap into your emotional intelligence? Make use of your emotional intelligence, for it will help you to understand and manage others' emotions effectively and positively. Well, I'm just lost.
Thank you, Toastmaster Yao Fosu. That was an amazing speech. As Toastmasters, we are storytellers. As we keep learning over the period, storytelling helps us to connect emotionally with our audience. And I want to believe that Toastmaster Yao Fosu has exhibited those skills. Excellent. Thank you so much. Fellow Toastmasters, we are at the next session of our meeting where we test the skills of impromptu speaking. To help us deliver on this Monday today, we have a very beautiful Toastmaster from our Ace-Legon Toastmasters Club. She is a life enthusiast determined to spread love and joy over the world. She wants everyone to believe and experience how amazing they are so they can be happy and fulfilled. Fellow Toastmasters, please help me welcome Toastmaster Jennifer Ajima, our table topics master for today.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Hello everybody. As indicated, my role here is to help you improve your skills of improvised speaking. How often have you been approached by somebody who wants to know your occupation, or who wants to start a conversation, or you've been called upon to say something unexpected, and you find yourself fumbling for the right diction to utilize? In this element of the Toastmasters meeting, one of the very few that is unplanned, we call a volunteer or somebody who's not on the agenda to speak by answering a question, responding to a statement, or having a topic to discuss. So can I invite one volunteer to come up and experience what this is like? Anybody? Thank you very much. Please tell the club your name.
My name is Carl. I'm doing great.
Hello, Carl. Thanks for volunteering. Great. Carl, the theme for today's meeting is to lead and to communicate. So I'd like you to share with us in 1 to 2 minutes what a memory you have of how leadership and communication connects. Share an experience with us on how leadership and communication connect.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And one good afternoon to all of us. I hope you are doing well. So, Michael.
Yes, please.
Think about this with me. You are 8 years old. We have a number of family relatives joining you in a family gathering, and they seem to be misbehaving. You know what they are doing is not right, but you are not old enough to tell them to stop. What would you do? Don't think too long. I was in the same shoes at 8 years, and I saw my older cousin making noise at a family gathering when all our old relatives were around. I slowly walked up to him and told him how much I respected him and how much of an influence he had been on my life. Then I told him that at that very instance, he was making me feel bad. I just noticed his mood changed, and then on, the whole gathering was smooth. I communicated and I learned him. Fast track, 13 years later, he calls me up and tells me that advice I gave him actually shaped his life in ways he didn't know. We are all presented with different opportunities to lead through communication, and that is what Toastmasters teaches us to do. As Toastmasters, do not consider your position or your rank. Think about how you can influence through communication, and by that, you will be serving the mandate of a proper Toastmaster. Over to you.
Impressive diction, you've been able to emanate to us the importance of being able to speak impromptu, where you're not prepared, but because you've got the skill of communication, you can indeed answer a question and look comfortable and confident in delivering. Over to you, Madam Tosi.
Thank you very much, Table Topics Master. I observed a number of times you use the word of the day diction, and well done on that. Fellow Toastmasters, I would like to invite our general evaluator back on the stage to take us through the evaluation session of our meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. We've reached another important and exciting part of our meeting, where we get the opportunity to listen to great feedback on how we have fared with today's meeting. I'll first start with our speech evaluator. She is a businesswoman, a member of Page Toastmasters, and she will share with us how our speaker for the day, Toastmaster Samuel Fosu, fared. Toastmaster,
said that a good speech like a woman said, long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to create interest. And this was what Samuel did with his speech. Now, the purpose of Samuel's project is for the member to practice using a speech within a story, or to give a speech that is a story. His path is on the motivational strategies. Samuel, what did you excel at? I'll start with your introduction. You started with a question. And questions always get the attention of the audience. Now, that introduction just got our attention. I like the way you modulated your voice. It was very vocal variety. You used vocal variety really well. I thought your speech was interactive and very dialogue-based. And then also, your speech was sprinkled with metaphors. And you used descriptive words purposely. Your diction was also very good. Now, I applaud your use of metaphors and diction, and then you sprinkled it with humor too. I liked your coherent narration of the story, and it was very well organized. You were also able to draw differences between characters in the story. You told us your perspective of the drunk man's behavior and the old man's perspective of the drunk man's behavior. Your story had the elements of storytelling. You had a theme, you had a plot, you had characters, you had conflict resolution. These are the elements of storytelling. Every story must have these things, and you carried them. And then I thought that your conclusion also brought home the essence of the story. Emotional intelligence, something that is so important to us as Toastmasters. Now, what can you do to a great speech to make it better? I picked up one hiccup, just one. At some point during your dialogue, I felt that you were speaking into this area. I think you wanted to speak to the Toastmaster, but your energy was really on, and then you were you're really going, so you were speaking to this area. But apart from that, I thought it was a beautiful story. Well done. Over to you.
very much, Toastmaster Adjoa Jameche. I will now call my team again back on stage to give a report on how we've fared with our meeting. First, I would like to call on our counter to give a report.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. This afternoon's meeting, I must say, very exciting. Most of us as speakers really deploy the use of pauses, and it's made our speeches very effective. For our prepared speaker, this afternoon, one beautiful thing I realized we were doing was when we were repeating, I did, I saw, the old man did, you really deploy pauses in them. So it was not very repetitive. And I think that was very well executed. Our evaluator for today also was saying, you know. And I think we should remember that the beautiful way to do that is to be using pauses. Overall, I think we were all very good today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our counter, for that detailed report. I would love to call on our timer to give us a report on how we fared with time.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Today we did very well with the use of our time. Of particular mention would be our first speaker, Mr. Samuel Fusu, and our first table topic speaker, Mr. Carl Quay. They both used a lot of good pauses in their speeches and still worked within time, which is an indication of good preparedness and rehearsal. Our first speech evaluator also worked within time, but I think that she rushed the speech. So although she worked within time, at some point I couldn't really follow through because she was rushing through. Of particular mention is our first speaker, Mr. Samuel Fusu, who had 5 to 7 minutes and used 6 minutes and 43 seconds. And Carl Quay, our first table topic speaker, who had between 1 and 2 minutes and used 1 minute and 50 seconds. But generally, we did very well with the use of our time, and I'll hand over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. I would love to call on our grammarian to tell us how we have fared with the Queen's language and the use of diction.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Today you have made my role as grammarian a very easy and enjoyable one. To start off, the word of the day was used 4 times by 3 different speakers. Jenny used it twice, our speaker Sammy used it once, and the evaluator Adjoa used it once as well. When it comes to grammar, there were so many interesting phrases that were used that I think we can all learn from, particularly from our speaker Sammy. He first started out with an idiomatic expression, hurled insult, which simply means to direct insults in rapid succession. I think that's a very good way to use it. It makes it even more engaging. We can all learn from that. He went on to also say ear splitting, which means distressingly loud. It was a good way to emphasize what he was trying to make across and brought more character and life to the speech. He also used a final one that I really enjoyed, an oxymoron, bittersweet, which can appear contradictory, but when it's used effectively or correctly, it adds a lot of life to a person's speech. So thank you very much for that full and complete speech. There are a few things that I think we should take note of when it comes to our use of the English language and how we enunciate words. A number of people put in the letter R to join 2 words when it was not required. So 2 people in succession said right into it and however. So into it became into it and however became however. Additionally, when our timer was giving his report, he said a point of mention. The correct expression is a point of note. And I think that we should take note of these so that we take the good and leave out the bad. Generally, we've had a really good meeting, and I encourage us all to continue to build our vocabulary, become better speakers. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Grammarian, for that detailed report and giving us very good examples on how we can improve on our English language. I will now give my report on how we fared with today's meeting. I must say, just like other members of my team have mentioned, it's been an exciting meeting because we started on time, and looking at my time right now, we will be ending on time. We're all well organized speakers, role players who came to take up the stage, showed that they had prepared way in advance before today's meeting, and they stuck to the purpose of their various roles. Now to what we can do to make this meeting even more exciting. I realized that most of us, when we came here, aside our prepared speaker, we leaned on our lectern and didn't make good use of gestures and also eye contact. To enable us have a connection with our participants in the meeting, let us try as much as possible to look in their faces, smile, encourage them so they can connect with you. Especially with our evaluator, I noticed you just stuck looking at the prepared speaker, but your feedback was good enough for all of us, and so draw us in the next time by making sure that you pause, look at the other participants so we can all be part of it. But on the whole, it's been a great meeting. I'd love to encourage you. Invite somebody over the next time so the club and the community gets better. Thank you. Over to you, Madam.
When you walk into a restaurant, there are two things we look out for: the food and the value you get out of paying the price for the food. And I want to believe that we have all had value today, gathered around this table for an hour and a half, participating in an interesting Toastmasters meeting. Thank you so much to our prepared speakers. Thank you so much to our unprepared speakers. Thank you to all role players, and thank you to the executives for this meeting. And at this point, I'd like to hand over the meeting to the president of the club.
Super excited about how this meeting has turned out, and I want to say many thanks to all role players for contributing to this unique meeting and also using their distinct diction to give members and guests this lovely experience. Many thanks also to Toastmaster Susie Aku Pupulampu for playing the role of the Toastmaster of the day. I want to say thank you so very much. And to our speaker today, TM Samuel, that was a beautiful speech, and I think you should look at how you can develop it further for our upcoming speech contest next month. I'd like us to delve quickly into our business section for today's meeting before we draw the curtains on our activity here. The very first one is our upcoming gala night. Who is excited? Awesome! It is scheduled for the 4th of December, and I can't wait to see you in your tags and in your dinner wear. Please see our Vice President Education and also our Vice President Public Relations for a ticket after the meeting. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters guests, I'd like to draw the curtains on today's meeting. As the President of the club, officially adjourn this meeting to the next 14